That's not a comic book. Now that's a comic book.
Anyway, we go on to Green Lantern Secret Origin. But Ian, Green Lantern Secret Origin doesn't have any Red Lanterns in it. Oh, yes it does! Because it has Atrocitus! Everyone's favorite Red Lantern. One of the few that people can name besides Dexter. Oh, speaking of Dexter. Dexter shall sit here and review comics with me, because he's a better co-host than Danny, since he doesn't poop or move. He might fall, though. If he falls, then he has failed me. But anyway, so we got... Oh, there's a better image of Atrocitus I could have used. So, Green Lantern Secret Origin. As promised last week, Godhead really reinvigorated me on Green Lantern. I had been kind of, like I said, on the fence about that book ever since Brightest Day. And then once Johns left, I just had very little confidence in it. But I read Godhead just because I found the premise really interesting, and it completely reinvigorated my love for the character. And it made me want to go back and read it all again, because I realized, you know, when I fell in love with the character, I was reading in trade. I started to lose interest in the character when I was reading in single issues. So obviously, the only conclusion is I'm just meant to read Green Lantern in trade. So I'm going to go back through all of the old Green Lantern books. He fell and failed me. How dare he? I'm going to go through all the Green Lantern books. Can you see Dexter if I set him here? I probably should have thought of that sooner. Oh well. I'm going to go through and read through all the Green Lantern books. I would have done the Alan Moore stories before this, but, special announcement, did an episode of Geeky Gentleman with Bill Worcester, and you can watch that tomorrow, where we talk about the 3 short stories that Alan Moore did, including Tires, the story that inspired Geoff Johns' run. Or partly. We get into it. So I'll leave a link to that in the... You know what? Special bonus? Yeah, special bonus. It's unlisted. It's posted right now. So, for those of you watching comic reviews and that have stuck around this far into the trade talk, before I even started talking about the trade, you get a sneak peek at tomorrow's episode of Geeky Gentleman. Links in the description. Hope you enjoy. I'd suggest pausing this video, watching that video, at least for the section where we get to Tires. We do it fairly consistently, do one story at a time. Watch the section where we get to Tires, and then come back and watch me talk about Secret Origin. There you go. So anyway, Green Lantern Secret Origin is a story I really, really like. It's my favorite Hal Jordan origin. Like, a lot better than First Flight, or, God, so much better than Emerald Dawn. Emerald Dawn is just a train wreck. Ooh, Emerald Dawn's bad. Anyway, yeah, I like Secret Origin quite a bit. I think it's weird that it came out as late as it did. I'm watching the lizard from the other room do his shit. It's weird that it came out as late as it did, but it still works really well as just a Hal Jordan origin on its own, but it works beautifully to set up into the rest of the Johns run. And I always recommend people start here rather than with Rebirth. So, what I'm going to be doing is, I'm going to include the Geeky Gentleman episode as a part of this. So, we have the Abin Sur story Tires, Tyres, whatever. Tyrees or something like that. We have that story about Abin Sur. Then we have Green Lantern Secret Origin, Green Lantern Secret Origin, since that kind of continues off from there. And then we have, I'm going to skip all of Hal Jordan and Jordan's original career as the Green Lantern and go straight to Emerald Twilight, then Zero Hour, then into the rest of the Johns run with Rebirth and so on. So I'm going to skip all of Hal Jordan and Kyle Rayner's career, but I'm going to be doing all the Green Lantern trades, including the Green Lantern core books, and Laura Fleas and Red Lanterns and Sinestro too. But anyway, Secret Origin on its own. So what do I like about this? Well, if I had to pick just a couple scenes... Oh, that's a clever little reference. If I had to pick just a couple scenes, I like that Johns really establishes just a consistent character for Hal Jordan where he does not think ahead. He is really the opposite of Batman in that way, where Batman thinks like 150 steps ahead in every possible situation, and Hal Jordan doesn't think what he's going to do when he walks into a room. Like, Hal Jordan doesn't know what he's going to have for dinner. That's the kind of guy he is. And so we have this scene fairly early on where Hal's kind of like flashing back to his childhood, and his brother goes to give him a present at midnight on his 18th birthday, and Hal has snuck out, and we see Hal sitting on the street, and someone says, "Son, can I help you?" And he goes, "I'm 18 today, sir." Well then, happy birthday. As he joins the Air Force. That's like that. Teenagers don't think 2 steps ahead. Hal Jordan doesn't even think 1 step ahead. I like that. He just joins the Air Force on his 18th birthday because he wants to be able to fly, and his mother has told him that he's not allowed to fly. And it has immediate consequences. His mother doesn't want to see him again as long as he's in the Air Force, as long as he can fly. Because of his father's death and everything. And there's a cool little reference to Jon Stewart. The other scene I really, really like in this is, where's it at? Yeah, he just constantly just gets in his own shit. Fights Kilowog. It's toward the end, actually. I'll get into more of this later. Where's it at? There we go. Sinestro and Hal are fighting Atrocitus, who has a device that drains their power. I'm shocked. The device Atrocitus is holding is capable of removing and containing the energy within our rings. We need to keep clear of it, and we need to recharge. So he just reaches into the pocket dimension and goes, and Hal's like, "What are you doing?" "Recalling my power battery." "Don't tell me Salak didn't educate you on confined pocket dimensions and the storage of personal charging units." Hal Jordan's reaction: "I keep mine in my locker." He's such a fucking bonehead, and I just love that about the character. But anyway, so the premise of this story is Abin crashes because of the fear inspired in him, and you know, it's talked about it in the Geek Gentleman episode. Go watch it. Hal Jordan crashes because of that. Atrocitus escapes. Did I say Hal Jordan? Abin crashes because of that. Atrocitus escapes. I like that Abin crashes in the desert, because if he didn't stay in his ship, it would have crashed into downtown Coast City. I like that. That's a nice detail. Anyway, so Abin crashes in the desert. Hal Jordan becomes Green Lantern, gets his training done. Hector Hammond's an asshole. You kind of should know the story if you hear me talking about this, but on the off chance you don't. Hal Jordan gets his Green Lantern training, fights Kilowog, is actually quite talented as far as Green Lanterns go, doesn't understand about the yellow, he's just a stupid human. Doop-a-doop-a-doop-doo. Love this fucking cool-ass panel, or full-page spread, whatever. Ah, that's awesome. I love that this is like the stupidest detail, but I really like the way that, who's the artist on this? Yeah, Ivan Reis does the Green Lantern symbol raised off the chest, or it's protruding as a projection. I really, really like that. Hal goes back to Earth, Sinestro shows up and starts causing him some problems. Atrocitus is there, and he's trying to find William Hand, who is prophesized to be the destruction of life in the galaxy. Hal and Sinestro team up and go to find Atrocitus, who is in search of William Hand. Sinestro just gets rid of Hector Hammond like it ain't no thing. Abensur reveals that the massacre of Sector 666. I never liked that detail. I'm tired of that number popping up in different things. It's not clever. Quit doing it, people. Atrocitus goes and hunts down William Hand. Hal and Sinestro have to fight him and stop him. In the attempts to fight him off, worst pet ever! Anyway, in the attempts to fight him off, Hal has to pick up or shoot. Hal has to blow up a crane, a yellow construction crane, with construct, which it shouldn't be able to do because it's yellow. Because at this point the yellow weakness is still part of the thing. But he is able to destroy it, and then there's a sweet moment at the end with Carol, and another sweet moment with Hal and Sinestro. And then Hal and Sinestro kind of yell at the Guardians, and that's why Green Lanterns are now able to hang out. Yada yada. We have the standard Hal Jordan thing, and Black Hand has his old thing. Good stuff. Whatever. Anyway, I really like this though. Just there are a lot of little things I like about the story. I think that the overall story works really well. It's just a really good Hal Jordan origin. It builds into everything else. Unfortunately, I just don't know how much I have to say about it without getting into the context of everything else that it's a part of. I like this cover more than the one with Ryan Reynolds, just because I feel like if you're going to put Ryan Reynolds' Green Lantern on the cover of a comic book, it should be a Ryan Reynolds Green Lantern movie continuity comic book. Maybe I'm crazy. I don't know how often they do that with other characters. I'm sure it's been done, don't get me wrong, but I cannot honestly think of other times where on the trade, maybe a single issue, but on the trade they've put a movie poster, basically. That bugs me. Anyway, yeah, I just like this story. It's just a fun, cool Hal Jordan origin. It's got some really neat setup. It does a lot of cool things. I like it for those reasons. I know it's not the most in-depth or thought-provoking review, but I just like it. It's just cool. It works. It works in the context of everything he's setting up, and it just works on its own because you know things are being set up, but it doesn't feel like just setup. Oh, sorry, book. Sorry, book. Dexter, what did you think of Green Lantern Secret Origin? You know, for a Red Lantern, he's pretty stoic. And yeah, it's just cool to use Atrocitus as a villain. They kind of get into that with Emerald Knights, the movie, where Atrocitus and Abensur kind of have a thing going on. Rivalry, like Atrocitus is a recurring villain for Abensur or something. I don't know. I think it's just okay. Or not just okay. I think it's good. I enjoy it. There's a lot of setup for Hal's family. I really like that. It's a small detail, but I love when they do this. Abensur's eye is the Green Lantern symbol there, and later on it's the yellow lantern symbol. The fear symbol. So I just like when they do that. It's just a neat little thing. That's about it, really. Hope you enjoyed. Hope you like it. I highly recommend reading this. If you're kind of on the fence about Green Lantern and you've heard a lot of good things about John's run, try your best to find the Alan Moore Titers story. I was able to go Argmati online and get it really easily, so you could do that. The other two Alan Moore stories are just good fun, which doesn't sound like Alan Moore at all, but it is. I highly recommend reading that first, then Secret Origin. You can skip Emerald Twilight and Zero Hour, but I'm not going to. I'm going to read those because I think they're very important to what Johns does. And it's weird that DC has like been refusing to ever reprint that, so I'm actually going to read that stuff. But yeah, if you have ever been interested in Green Lantern, this is probably the best place to start if you don't want to read the Alan Moore stuff. The Alan Moore stories, 3 short stories, it all comes to one comic book, just read it. Yeah, start here too. Good stuff.
That's not a comic book. Now that's a comic book.